señalaron. Dijeron igualdad, pero esta vez me separaron. Dijeron mucho, pero no se olvidaron de callarse. Cuánto odio por mi piel sembraron. Dijeron historia y la tergiversaron. Dijeron guerra, muerte, odio y nos culparon. Siempre. Enfermedades, epidemias nos contagiaron. Exterminación de mi fauna complace a tus mercados. Dijeron riqueza y todos se lo robaron. Oro, platino, diamante, a la fuerza se lo llevaron. Y la actualidad es tan triste que todo aquello que dijeron es lo mismo que hoy se dice más. ¿Quién dice, quién explota, quién se beneficia? El asesino, el mismo que da las noticias. Hay una cuenta fácil que siempre me da las grandes riquezas, de dónde vienen y hacia dónde van.
Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao. Nati Dre es afroresistencia, cultura ancestral, afrodescendencia, solidaridad. Esa es la esencia, la diáspora africana eleva la conciencia, conciencia negra, universal, progresista y transcultural. Negros y mestizos revolucionando, pueblos caribeños y africanos en un solo bando. No más explotación, colonialismo interno, no más confusión, supremacía blanca en el Babilón. Soy rojo, negro y verde, afroliberación. Mientras más negro, más represión. Somos creadores, recupera tu visión. Mi misión es educar con amor, contra el silencio, vivo sin temor. Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao.
Peace, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Rise Up International Morning Show. We are here. It's a beautiful day for revolution. Got the comrades on deck. What's happening?
Peace, peace.
Hey, it's a beautiful day. Rise up, people.
That's right.
I'm hating my lighting. I feel like I'm the only one in the dark.
No, you're good, Ikemba.
Yeah,
Let me tell you, you got everything all set up. This is why I'm jealous of everybody's background, you see. And then I'm going to have to go and do more. Because Ikemba has all of everything, right? And it's totally tricked out. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. You got some good highlights on your face. Your face looks warm.
Oh, I think we got a surprise. I think we got a surprise here with us. It's looking like we might have a surprise.
My replacement's here. Let me get ready to go. What's going on? Hey, hooroo to the rise up, man. The uprises. See, y'all thought I wasn't going to be ready, man. I told you I'd be in mood when I hit that record.
Okay, you always ready. You are always ready.
Kemba's always ready. You just be doing a lot at the same time. But that's what it is.
Yeah, multitasking. You know, that's what we do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What's going on over there in Philly, Kemba?
Man, yeah, it's wild. Y'all saw the plane crash, right? Well, not literally.
It's been a few over there, right?
Y'all, do y'all know I was worried about Ikemba? I was worried.
Yeah, I'm getting these text messages. I'm just like, am I all right? Why everybody asking? You know, the first one was just like, oh, that's good stuff. People thinking about me. Then I'm like, hold on, nah, something happened. I went to Philly News immediately. I was like, what's going on in Philly? I was in New York at the time when it happened.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was hearing about it. I was recording. I was actually over on the Comrades network, the Indigenous Nightmare Network, and he's telling me, "Yo, there was another plane crash." I don't know. I think Detroit. There was another one. Was there one in Detroit or something like that?
There was one in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, D.C. There was one in D.C. Yeah.
That one was crazy though. That one is the one that's got everybody up in arms because, first of all, the idiot in chief is trying to blame things on DEI. And of course, like we know he already says stupid stuff, right? We know that there is hardly ever a sensible thing that comes from his mouth or a truthful thing. And one of the things that he and others were trying to promote was the notion that the person who was flying the helicopter, or the person who was working air traffic control was a DEI hire. That these people who were either air traffic control, flying the Black Hawk helicopter, flying the United Airlines plane, those pilots and people in air traffic control were DEI hires. They were literally like, and going forward, because we won't have DEI, we will have the best and the brightest in these positions. But what I want people to really understand is that, number one, the reason why you had a commercial airline and a Black Hawk helicopter in the same airspace, even at the same time, is that there have been members of Congress who have been pushing to allow for more air traffic around Reagan International Airport. If you know anything about the DMV and that area, and I'll just even say the DC area, there are 3 airports. You got Washington Dulles, you got Reagan, and then you have BWI, Baltimore, Washington. Dulles is more frequently used than Reagan, but Reagan is closer to the heart of DC, where congressional members, of course, are doing their business. There were specific members of Congress who had been pushing for quite some time to increase the air traffic at Reagan, just so that they could get more direct flights into DC during legislative session. What ended up happening was that there was a bill that got voted down. There was a bill that was just straight, like, we're going to increase this so we can get these direct flights, blah, blah, blah. Of course, they tried to mask it as something else. But the true motive behind it was that there were just some greedy and selfish people who wanted direct flights into Reagan to get to DC. They ended up putting something, made what lawmakers and people who are around legislation will call, pork fat or pork bellies. They say, as you put that into another piece of legislation, like you're padding other legislation with what you really want, but you're hiding it in there too. It's buried many times. And as we know, unfortunately, most of our legislators are not reading what is being proposed before they vote, if they even show up for a vote. So it was passed through another piece of legislation. So now you have a Black Hawk helicopter. I want people to think about what that means. You have some military grade equipment and technology flying into airspace with another commercial airline, but you have air traffic control telling the Black Hawk that he's going too fast. And these 2 planes just collide head on. That has nothing to do with DEI at all.
Right.
That is literally the greed of politicians, because they would rather place their comfort as more of a priority over the safety of other people.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was just like, no, there's no way in the world they're going to try to say that this is some DEI. What in the world?
Yeah,
I don't
did.
even know how they got that together. I don't even know how they brought it together, but I just know that.
Well, according to Trump, it's common sense.
Right.
Yeah, their supporters are riding on it. When we know that those who benefit the most from any type of affirmative action or diversity, equity, inclusion policies have always been white people. And this is whether they are white men or women, depending on the industry, depending on where you are educationally, it is always others. It is never Black people who benefit from the things that are supposedly to make things more equitable for us.
Absolutely.
Even whenever I saw the Philadelphia plane crash, right, I was kind of just sitting back doing the knowledge to see how people were responding. And as we know, within the Black community in Philadelphia, there's a large Black Muslim population. And one of the brothers that was filming, like, I guess he saw he was on his apartment balcony, he saw the plane coming down, he pulled out his phone and he started screaming Allahu Akbar, and the video started circulating, and white nationalists were trying to tie the plane crash to some type of Islamic terrorist situation. And it just goes to show, like, the times that we are in at the moment. As Kiana stated, Donald Trump mentioned DEI whenever, during his press conference about the DC crash. These people have to have somebody to blame, non-white, non-Christian, anything, just like whenever they CRT a couple of years ago, critical race theory, which is taught in law school, and it's not taught in any type of public school elementary setting, right? But let's dump everything black into the CRT bucket, and anytime anything goes wrong, we'll say this is CRT. Well, it's the same thing with DEI, regardless to who really benefits from it. Right now, it's obviously a code word for black people. And so, again, you know, I even saw, I believe it was Charlie Kirk, known racist Charlie Kirk, said that, you know, whenever he gets on an airplane and he sees a black pilot, he suddenly gets nervous and weary, right? Like, they're saying this stuff out loud.
Ooh, Charlie Kirk. Y'all seen Charlie Kirk? Y'all know what he looked like? Have y'all ever seen the Goonies? You ever seen the Goonies?
The Goonies?
The Goonies.
Yes, the Goonies. You ever seen
the classic.
Goonies?
Yeah. You look chunk.
Yeah. You know it. You know some inbred people.
Hey, whenever a white male Christian male commits a crime, you know we're not hearing about his religious background. You know, we're not even hearing he's a male. We're just hearing, there was a crime.
You might not see a picture of him.
Yeah, you might, exactly.
About to say, they will not release. Exactly. They will not release a picture. No. No.
Right.
Yeah, this whole situation was mad. Just reading about what happened and them mentioning that these scares happen all the time. Just think about that. Like, these close calls happen. Like, what? So this was an accident waiting to happen then. It was not it was a matter of when. You know what I'm saying? That's what I took from this situation. So it's something that could have been prevented. And I think you have brought out just the interest in keeping things the same and not making those changes. And that's usually what happens in a situation. I remember a class that I took, and I was learning about cost-benefit analysis and precautionary principle. And they were talking about how some countries, mostly like in Europe, and I don't know if they even do this, but they were making a difference between some of the European nations and America. And like a precautionary principle is sort of this approach where the decisions or policies that they enact now is going to be based on the long-term effects. How is this going to affect the community in the future? And so they take precaution on what they're doing based off of any negative projection that they have for a future outcome. Cost benefit analysis don't look at it that way. They like whatever happens in the future, they can handle it. Future generations can take care of their problems the same way that we're taking care of our problems today. Like, they have to deal with the issues because we got to deal with these issues, right? And so they look at it from like a cost benefit. How much is it going to cost us? What's the benefit and so forth? So it's a completely different approach. And I just bring all that to say this is a prime example of that, right? You know, what's the cost? What's going to be the benefit and so forth? If it costs us more to do it in a safe way, if it costs us less to do it in another way, and it may be a little bit more dangerous, we'll do it the other way, right?
Right.
So yeah.
It kind of and just for a caveat, like, it just reminded me whenever I saw these issues and about black pilots. I remember reading Fannie Lou Hamer's biography, one of them, and she talked about Belafonte funding a trip for SNCC to go to Africa and meet Sekou Touré. And she just talked about how she was just so mesmerized and amazed to see the whole flight staff, including the pilots, being black, right? But this is what we do when we are left to our own devices, right? there's no need for DEI or any type of corrective measures when we just left the hell alone. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That's right. 100%.
And I'm not saying our brothers in Africa were left the hell alone, but at the same time, obviously it's a majority Black African population. But yeah, just a caveat, because I thought, you know, this whole idea of Black flight staffs and Black aviation, Black pilots, like it really got them in an uproar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I think, you know, we're going to get into some stories in a minute. You know, specifically, we're going to be headed to the motherland. You know what I mean? Because we have to. You know,
Africa.
That's right. A wise man once said that, you know, Africa is shaped like a gun and the Congo is the trigger. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So we're going to be.
Who was that wise man?
We're gonna.
Hey, that's a bar.
let everybody do their homework. Let everybody do their homework during this Black Power break, man. Let's start this,
no doubt.
Let's start this Wednesday off with some real hip hop music to get us going.
Yes,
man.
Sure.
Black Power, rise up.
Poets, yeah, massive for this 4th century, yeah, you know, heard. Seen, sight, the sound unheard of massive. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Yeah, you hear those war drums? Yeah, just let it breathe. Yeah, you hear those war drums? Yeah, just let it breathe. Yeah, you hear those war drums? Yeah, just let it breathe. Yeah, you hear those war drums? Let it breathe. Let it breathe. Let it breathe. I clutch the microphone, so never fear. Cause Sunny brings atmosphere, breath of life into this battlefield. We call it Barrio Harlem. Gentrifiers just trying to steal like Sunset, South Bronx, and San Juan Hill. Until my homies island side, they hold the San Juan still. The murder of Billy Bento made it oh so real. For young Mike Tenderfoot in the books, chill with crooks till I change my look and focus on what they took from my collective people. Fucking dogs, birthing evil. Me and Ethan learn logistics of acquiring the Desert Eagle. Defy your back and guard me inspired. My raps and Ray told me my shit was dope, so I assumed what I had was crack. And yeah, I hustle hard, we got the flow, so run with us. Just never stepped on our hand, homies eat so they can bundle up when it's cold out. But why pedal dust for a couple bucks to the same knuckle fucks? Getting high since before the Knicks sucked. Totally remember ghetto living molded me, not to mention the way my mama sat me down and scolded me when I was out of line. She said that I was born to shine, the last Harlem sun. If your lighters didn't follow mine, I'm from where we all know the posts logo used to be where they won't go. Now we got the block they run for, luxury condos, the trumpet sound that bring the bass like a tuba. Tommy Bungo, local daughters, the God of lies, Yoruba. And I run trick plays so we can fool your Regos, Haiti, I go Cuba, Lexington Ave, shuffle to fly right through ya. Harlem maneuvers forever, PR side will slump you up and leave you near the MGR drive. Cause we are live, and before the blood of my veins run dry, you'll believe that a man can fly with wings that are made of fire. Set the wolves on you, the Jamaicans from Nevins, the Trinis from Sunnyside, all the wops from Pleasant, the whole zoo of gorillas waiting on Lennox. Will the beast will serve you like a snack box on 111th WB. From Kinshasa to Tripoli, I hope that you reading me. I hope I reach you with my God-given ability over illusions and similes and uncanny agility when I'm wielding a guillotine. I'm trying to bring a balance and establish a symmetry before I lay in the cemetery or left behind bars in a stay-home penitentiary. Essentially for trying to free my country from capitalistic dependency. Screaming, mira caballero que lío. Free Oscar and Avelino, hands on Vieques, move the people like Abisu. And we will reach freedom eventually, as long as you walk on a righteous path. Do the knowledge, don't be afraid cause it's only math. Go to college and don't be ashamed if it doesn't last. It's only class, homie, fail or pass. Keep your books read and straight from the life the Chris led. The BB tanks, conglomerate in the crep fed. Shine light on brown and black owned businesses. Support your roots and you will grow like photosynthesis. They try to cut us down before you could get to this, so bear witnesses. I snatch your phonies, wood carved necklaces and say peace to the gods and the earth, the kings and the queens, the hustlers and fiends, and all my niggas stuck stuck in between. They hanging on the broken dreams and failed promises. Hard times breed certified hood pharmacists, or broken men with no grasp for the politics that keep them the victim. But yo, really it ain't hard to miss. Although it's easy to bitch, so niggas tend to do it. While change is a task and I'm tending to it. It's like a garden, I'm a farmer, man, I'm trying to bloom it. I'm trying to grow it. With this microphone, peep how I hold it. Others rapping song, check how I wrote it. I rep the welfare and I am a poet, you can quote it.
Welcome
like
back.
that,
Welcome
comrade.
back.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Rise
From
Up.
Kinshasa to Tripoli. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, that was hard.
That was the welfare
Definitely
poet.
was.
Shout out to Guerrilla Republic Worldwide. We
Where are
did.
they located?
New York. New York.
In New
Yeah,
York.
that was fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Yeah,
Gotta
shout out
connect
to
with them folks, man.
Guerrilla
Yeah,
Republic, man. Guerrilla Republic is worldwide. You already know we got G-Rep Cuba going on. So
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
No doubt,
I just want to
man.
be the person in the video that just stands there and looks hard, man. Because I'm saying,
Hey,
Hallmark,
next video I'm shooting, I'm definitely hitting you up, Kiana.
you
Like,
know,
Kiana,
any hip hop video, you know it's real
Mm.
because it's somebody in there with that enforcer face on. Like I'm gonna be that person. I'm
Absolutely.
gonna be that.
word,
But just so
word.
you know, I'm still a free agent, man. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
come on, you already know.
Yes.
We
I've
gonna
been a
build,
free
man.
agent for over 20 years now. So
Hey man, y'all know I hope y'all know the work Rakeem does with this hip hop.
nah.
Oh, yeah,
No,
man.
no, come on, man. Rakeem, they not up on the
Yeah,
the work, man.
I do a little something, man. I put together an album called Wilds of Dome about 2 years ago,
Fire.
featuring a lot of
Fire.
conscious artists. Working on part 2 right now, but I'll definitely let everybody know when it's time.
That's
Well,
what's
how can we listen to the part 1? I haven't.
Oh, actually, I got you. It's Wilds the Dome, Rakeem Shabazz Wilds the Dome on Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, anywhere.
Everywhere.
On
Yeah, you
Tidal?
can stream.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Come on,
Okay.
man.
Okay.
It's everywhere, man.
Man,
Yes.
the people
Yes,
heard it.
definitely.
Yeah, Black Hot Media.
Yeah, you know.
Plug it in. Nah, that's
Hey,
what's
man,
up.
come on, man.
Nah.
You already know what time it is, man.
Oh yeah,
That's
appreciate you.
it.
Appreciate you. That's
Right
it.
there, man.
That's
Come
it.
on, man. You gotta get
Yeah.
up on that West the Dome.
Yeah, that was
Yes, we do.
that was fun to work on, man. A lot of great MCs, a lot of MCs that have something to say. A lot of times we like to say hip hop is dead. That's just because you're looking in the mainstream. There are brothers like we just heard,
Mhm.
brothers all over the land spitting that real, man. You just gotta find it.
No doubt.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Hey, like I said, I'm a free agent, man. You know,
can't-
don't let
Already.
don't let these lyrics go to waste, man.
Hey, so
Hey.
so comrade,
Hey,
hey, comrade Ikemba, man. So who said Africa is shaped like Africa?
I put it in the
shaped like a
chat.
gun?
You saw it?
Yeah, I saw it.
We saw.
France
You
for
on.
9.
The great France Fanon, man.
The great friends for now.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's what's up, man. No, that's love, bro.
That's the word, and he added
It's
that
his centennial since we on France for 9.
he
He was born in 1925 too.
right.
Wow.
He said Africa is shaped like a gun, and the Congo is the trigger. If that explosive trigger bursts, it's the whole Africa that will explode.
That is powerful.
Wow. Rest in power to France for now, man.
We need to aim that gun at everybody right
At
now,
the enemy,
man. You know what I'm saying?
Colonizers.
Put a switch
right.
on it.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Congo, right? That sounds like a segue right there.
That's right.
For sure.
Absolutely.
You know, so I'm going to be talking about just giving an update on Congo, and you all know, if you don't know, we did a powerful show on Congo last week, so y'all should check that out. I consciously say Congo too. Quick story. Some Congolese folks checked me, or this Congolese sister checked me. It was like, it's Congo, not the Congo. I was like, what? Like, what's up? And she's like, she said, you know, you wouldn't say the Ghana or you know, the America.
Right.
So I was like, all right, you're right. So, you know, you can say Democratic Republic of the Congo, because I think that is the name of it. But I guess if you're just saying Congo, you know,
Yeah,
you
it's
can
just
drop
no
the
need.
shot.
D.
That's what folks that, you know, really respectful.
Yeah.
So but so what's been happening, we probably all updated with M23 capturing Goma, and recently there has been a ceasefire because of the humanitarian crisis. So at least the rebels are calling for a ceasefire. Now I don't know the dynamic with that, right? Because that's interesting. You know, the rebels are declaring the ceasefire, but you know, is that ceasefire? Should it be, first of all, should it be respected? Because you're talking about a rebel group that has infiltrated the capital of is it South Kivu? It's the capital of South or North Kivu. So excuse me,
I'm not sure, man.
fact check that, but
Yeah.
it's the capital of South or North Kivu, and somewhere around 900 people, Congolese, have been murdered, and I think over 3,000. Not I think, the report says over 3,000 Congolese have been injured. Now those numbers are probably higher. That's what's been reported. So this is what's going on. Of course, millions have been displaced, and so the M23 has declared that they captured Goma and they're here to stay. They have been. This is the I believe third time that they have infiltrated the city of Goma. 96
It's
and
north. I'm sorry,
It's
it's North Kivu. Yeah.
I
Capital North
appreciate that, you know, for the people. So this is the third time they captured the city. Two other times, I think 96, 97, in the early 2000s, in which they were pushed back by the Congolese forces and in alliance with Uganda. But this time they said they're here to stay. Some of the I guess analysts who are looking at what's happening in Congo have said that one of the reasons that Rwanda has taken advantage, because this is a group that is backed by Rwanda, have taken advantage of this time to capture Goma, is because of everything that's happening around the world, and that some of the key players in Congo, such as the West, China, not necessarily China, because China is just there to exploit. That's a whole other conversation. They could care less. But as far as just like any sort of military presence or UN support, Congo was lacking that as a result of like what's going on in Europe with Ukraine and the Middle East. Basically, the key players have been distracted. And so Rwanda has taken advantage to capture Goma, and they're there, you know, to exploit. They've been exploiting Congo for the resources. Rwanda is making a lot of money off of the exploitation of the mines in Congo, and so they have been forcing artisanal miners to extract resources such as gold, the cobalt, the coltan, in which they been selling on the market. So the latest, Uganda has sent another 1,000-something troops into into Congo. Another thing that we have to like really keep an eye on. I know our folks, friends of Congo folks, and others who was on the show talked about Uganda's role in Congo, and to look out for them, because they have supported M23 in the past, and there's talks about them supporting. And there has been some reporters who are saying that they are there now, even supporting M23, even though that there's denials, because they're part of an operation called Operation Shuja, in which they're supposed to be working with the Congolese government to push back the the Islamic Allied Forces, I believe, the IAF, or it might be the Allied Islamic Forces, but they're there to fight against that group, which originated in Uganda. So there's a lot happening. I think Uganda is probably playing both sides. There's some history there, so we definitely got to keep an eye out on Uganda and what they're doing. And I believe there's a lot of Congolese who want Uganda out of Congo anyway. So this is a little update of what's going on, but we definitely need to continue to stay tapped in. I think the quote, Fernando, that you brought is important. It shows like how important Congo is, being the heart of Africa. And if we go, I feel like, man, if we talking about a free Africa, you can't have a free Africa without first freeing the people of Congo. Where you probably have a population of something like 100 million, right?
It's huge.
Yeah. But yeah, if y'all wanted to build,
it's huge, and when it comes to resources, it's huge as well. I mean, Rwanda, for those of you, I mean, this is pretty obvious, but I think it's good to mention as well. Rwanda, we have to make sure we mention that they've been the puppets of the British and the Americans forever, since forever with Kagame over there. It's something worth mentioning. And but like you said, we have to make sure we really keep our eyes on what's going on over there. Also, they always make sure that they work through these imperialists. They work through various countries. So like you said, Uganda is one of they're working both ways. They're always working with the imperialists. There's Rwanda, which is obvious that they're completely backed by, like I said, the British, the Americans, and other European forces. And what's going on is horrible. It's a real, genocide. And again, connecting that to everything else, connecting that to the Sudan, to what's going on in Sudan. But yeah.
Just kind of reminds me of what Imam Jamil Al-Amin said whenever he was like, if you're a green man, they'll send green men after you. And when we look at just how important Congo is for powering the world, right? It's easy to the whole point is to keep conflict going there in order to continue to destabilize the nation, in order for the West and the puppets of the West to steal those resources, right? I mean, people have to ask themselves, why is it so important? Why did Fanon say that Congo would be the trigger, right? All of the resources, the minerals in the ground, man, like this is money to them. This is, especially with what's going on in technology.
Tech is huge.
It's huge, right? And what would these tech billionaires be without the minerals from Congo? And so they're not trying to give that up easily. A lot of times I feel like they know what optics would be if they went in there and did the dirty work themselves. So they'll send puppets that look like, that are African, that are black, right? They'll send puppets over there to do their bidding. And I think this is just more of the same, right? Same old colonialism playbook.
Yeah. And also what's going on in the Sahel states right now, that the way that, those three countries are strengthening bonds. And so the colonizers, they don't like that. They're still trying to force. They know that right now, the Congo makes it even more key for them to make sure that they can, have a hold on the Congo. Right. Just thinking what's going on. It could get real.
They could be next in that domino, right?
You know what I mean? Yeah, it could get real crazy for them. You know what I'm saying? So they know, like they, unfortunately, it's gonna get even more nasty because they're not gonna let go easily. At all. Have any of y'all seen the documentary soundtrack to a coup d'etat about Lumumba?
I haven't seen it.
No, and I'm trying to. Someone shared a link, but I couldn't
Yeah,
open it. Somebody has.
It was. I think it was me. I shared a link,
Okay.
but it's no longer available. Yeah, obviously because it was somewhere. But
Okay,
yeah. But it's a great documentary. You know, because it speaks about. It shows. It actually doesn't just speak about. It shows how, you know, through music, because it's kind of like the title says, the soundtrack, but through music and all that. But it shows how these, you know, colonizers fear, you know, Africanism, you know, more than anything else. The unity of African people and African nations globally, because
Right.
that's the biggest threat, really. You know, and you got yeah, it's a great documentary. Definitely recommend that one. But it shows, man, and it's well done. It's well made.
No doubt. I'm gonna try to find it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man. But I'm definitely you know, another thing you have brought up in regards to Sudan, because I feel like it's been pretty quiet around Sudan as well, and what's happening there. And nothing has changed as far as just the, you know, the amount of people who are facing humanitarian crisis, and how many people have died as a result of, you know, the conflict in Sudan. So, you know, between Sudan, Congo, and, you know, what's happening throughout all of Africa, really, because Africa, at the end of the day, you still have a large population on that continent that is living in poverty and extreme poverty, according to the standard given by you know, the West.
Right.
Because, you know, extreme poverty to them might be extreme poverty, but because of the threshold, but that's a whole, you know, another conversation. But there's like a continent that is starving as a result of still these imperialist and colonialist policies. So it's important for us to bring this out, and have these conversations. For one, when we're located in the West, because all of us are in the diaspora, right?
Yeah.
And the places that we are at, the policies of these nations are having a tremendous effect and influence on what's taking place, the whole power dynamic in Africa. And so being in the United States, knowing that, you know, the US has an interest over there and they support, whether directly or indirectly. I mean, Rwanda is able to do what they're doing because of countries like the United States, Britain, and so forth. You know, they have the power to stop. And where's the sanctions? Where's, you know, that conversation happening? Being made is not happening, right? At least in America. So why is it? Why is it happening? And everybody's saying that Rwanda that Rwanda is back in M23. Nobody is denying it. Like from the U.S. to the Western European nations, the United Nations report. So if this is true, then what's the issue? Why isn't nobody curbing Rwanda's behavior?
Yeah, it's never considered a real humanitarian crisis when it comes to the exploitation of Africa's resources. Even whenever they say it is, right? Even whenever they have enough gumption to say it is, they know that Africa's resources power the world. And so they don't want to end that. They don't want a unified Africa. They don't want a sovereign Africa that is in 100% control of its own resources. Like Fernando said, like that just can't happen for them, right? And so again, the West, it's on, and we'll get to this in this next story, and we'll see what they consider humanitarian crisis, but it's definitely not any African people, you know, being in quote unquote poverty or having their resources lifted by the West. That's par for the course.
Absolutely. And even not just having their resources, just being murdered,
and the violence that comes with it, right?
The people
violence
being murdered
that comes with it.
The women being raped, by
the children being abused.
Yeah.
And go ahead, sis.
Thank you. I was going to say that one of the things that people either don't want to acknowledge or simply don't acknowledge is that the crisis in Sudan is the largest humanitarian crisis in the world. We saw what was happening in Palestine being broadcast on a world stage, and it got more attention. But what's been going on in Sudan, the numbers are greater. The numbers of murders are greater. In Sudan, you had a whole bunch of women commit suicide to avoid sexual violence. And when we are talking about what is considered violations of international law and war crimes, using sexual violence as a tool of war is a war crime. Using starvation as a tool of war is a war crime. Cutting off water and utilities as a tool of war is a war crime. All of the same things that were done in Palestine have also been done in Sudan. The one thing that is different about Sudan and Palestine is that the people who are doing much of the pillaging and raping in Sudan are those UN peacekeepers. They are people who were supposedly sent to make peace, keep peace. But many times what we see from the United Nations, from the International Court of Justice, from the International Criminal Court are symbolic reports, symbolic warrants, because there is still a warrant for Netanyahu that has not been executed. And we know that this can happen, but it simply has not happened. Over the weekend, there were dozens of solidarity rallies and vigils for the Democratic Republic of the Congo that were held in conjunction with a huge rally in DC on Saturday, this past Saturday. And during these rallies, the things that people said the most were that they don't need symbolism. They don't need thoughts and prayers. They don't need your condemnation. They need action. Right. Because we know that Rwanda as a country could not invade the Democratic Republic of Congo. Rwanda doesn't have the military power for this. Rwanda doesn't have the resources for this. Rwanda can only do this because the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, these other places are making it possible for Rwanda and Uganda to invade a place like the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And in that, we have to remember that the Democratic Republic of the Congo is no different than Sudan. Sudan is no different than Mali. Mali is no different than Niger. Niger is no different than Haiti, where the Kenyans are being used. You know, just like it's been stated, you got black people you want to control, send black people in there. And right. This is what we are seeing because as we have seen, and it's been proven by people time and time again, particularly the colonizers, when it comes to black skin, there is no urgency.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. What you mentioned is key too, is like, you know, we talk about the people dying, but there's also like these little things with the water, access to water, etc. And like the last time I checked, there was like over 10 million people in Sudan had to be displaced. You know what I mean? Over 10 million people have been displaced over the time. That's like, you know, an enormous amount of people, you know, but this just shows, you know, this whole thing really shows what white hegemony is about, because, you know, if this was what's happening in the Congo and Sudan was happening to any white population anywhere in the globe, the whole world would have stopped. The shit would be like this. It would be like, you know, there would be like World War III's on. The whole world would have stopped. Like, you know, and this is real talk, man. You know, and this is what our people are going through, and you know, nobody's blinking an eye. Like,
wow,
it's business as usual.
Mm-hmm. Business as usual, man. No, I unite with that. I think real quick. I know we're about to pivot. Sister Kiana brought up the peacekeepers, and that's another contradiction too, because Rwanda, you know, people are sort of enraged about Rwanda still, you know, they contributing peacekeepers, a country again that is being accused of supporting these rebel groups in Congo. which they deny, but of course they're denying it, but all fingers are pointing towards them in their support of M23. So why are they still contributing peacekeepers? It's just nothing being done. And so I think all of this talk, it also is just smoke and screens. People don't really care. To your point, we want to act like we care by saying something, but not doing anything.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we got another story.
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah,
this is an interesting one.
Oh yeah. That's a wild one, man. I'm getting sick and tired of
this dude, right?
I am,
the orange man.
No, well, both of them, man.
Both of them.
I'm getting sick and tired of both of these Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
So this is how Trump's pledge to punish South Africa reflects criticisms of. Reflects Musk's criticisms of his homeland. I might have to probably stop sharing real quick just because I'm having some issues here. But so it says Cape Town, South Africa. U.S. President Donald Trump said he will cut all funding to South Africa over what he called a human rights violation, a move that reflects Elon Musk's repeated and false claims over the years that authorities in his country of birth are anti-white and even encouraging the killing of white people. Trump said on Sunday that terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things and horrible things without providing specifics. He said they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that. While it wasn't clear exactly what Trump was referring to, he appeared to be referencing a new law in South Africa that gives the government powers in some instances to expropriate land from the people. Musk, a close Trump ally and head of Trump's new Department of Government Efficiency, has highlighted that the law in recent social media posts and cast it as a threat to South Africa's white minority. Many South Africans viewed Trump's sudden pledge to punish America's biggest trade partner in Africa as surprising and at least partly influenced by billionaire Tesla owner Musk, who was born in the South African capital of Pretoria, but left for Canada after he completed high school. So there's a lot to unpack there. What do you guys think?
Hey man, Trump saying authorities in South Africa are anti-white is crazy. Anybody saying, see, but that's the problem. We don't know our history, man. So people will hear that and they won't think it's crazy. Like just saying that is wild.
It's crazy,
right? The history of South Africa.
It's like someone coming into my house and then living in my house, let's say for 5 or 10 years, and finally I get enough where I get to the point where I'm able to take my house back, and now I'm the villain for taking my house back, right? The whole history of apartheid, how brutal it was, how America even in a lot of instances and Israel supported South African apartheid, and now it's this idea that the colonizer is the one who is being oppressed, the one who is, it's just so, like, when you think about like the audacity that they have to even make this a thing, right? But it's very real, and we see obviously Elon Musk's influence within the U.S. government as well. Trump being a white supremacist, I'm not even sure that this still would have been on his radar if it wasn't for Elon Musk. And so again, like I said, there's a lot to unpack in that story, but
well, they should have these conversations with Trump, even though realistically, it's, I guess in a better world, you could sit down with Trump and ask him questions about these white towns, all white towns that they're being established throughout South Africa. Like, what is his thoughts on that? I would love to hear his thoughts and Elon Musk's thoughts on that on that transpiring. Also, to your point, this history, what do they think about this history of apartheid and how the white population in Occupied Azania was able to secure the wealth and the land, right? Looking at that history and acknowledging that contradiction and saying, okay, like there has to be some justice for that.
Right.
You know, we can't just like maintain the power, the power dynamic, not necessarily the power dynamic, but the accumulation and control of wealth in that country. Like that cannot be maintained just because some laws changed in regards to breaking down apartheid, because the power is in the land, the power is in the control of resources. And so if the people do not control the resources, what power do they really have, man? And so that's the contradiction that needs to be overturned. They got
similar. My bad. I didn't mean to cut your wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say,
willing to have that conversation. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah. I've seen Musk doesn't care, right? Trump does not care. They are bona fide white supremacists. I've seen Elon Musk downplay our Mafa, chattel slavery, right? And come with the thing that, you know, what do they say? Well, everybody were slaves at one point, you know, that kind of thing. And so it even makes you wonder, like, what are their ideas on Jim Crow, right? Since it's being, you know, a similar system as apartheid. They don't care, right? This is who they are. I'm kind of interested in seeing how this power dynamic between Elon Musk and Donald Trump continues to progress or erode, because I eventually think that this friendship will go sour. But again, you know, it's I don't know, it's just kind of unbelievable for me to take and for them to take seriously the idea that South Africans are being oppressed, when they're like 90% of the landowners in South Africa, right? It's just a wild idea. But you know, we see white folks in America act the same way, right? This whole DEI thing, they're the ones being
that's
oppressed.
What I was thinking too.
Yeah, they're the ones being oppressed. They're the real victims. They're the real, you know, people who are the downtrodden, right? It's just wild, man. It's like some Twilight Zone type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man.
Now, anytime you're going to push back against oppression and exploitation from those who are doing the oppressing and exploiting, who are benefiting from it, there's always going to be that backlash. And Malcolm X, that is, taught us that, man. He spoke about these things in the 60s, and he talked about this integration and you know, civil rights and this fight for civil rights and how white people would respond. And again, at that time, Malcolm was predicting a race war. I think he was more so saying that when he was with the Nation of Islam too, you know. But I think he was making a great point, irrespective, because even though we haven't seen like this, at least physical race war, there's always been a race war in the United States and around the world. And it's just been political in a sense. We've been struggling. It's been a quote unquote, I guess, relatively peaceful race war, even though blood is being shed on both sides, you know, but mostly on our side.
Yeah.
You know, for the most part. But that's what we've been seeing. There's been a constant tension that has resulted in conflict between the oppressed fighting to secure civil rights, human rights, and power. And what has happened, what we see now is sort of, with Donald Trump being elected, is the result of that tension and conflict. You know, they worked really hard. The colonizers, the races worked really hard and moved strategically to make sure that they put their people in positions of power to put forth their agenda. And so we have to make sure we do the same.
One thing that's funny, Comrade Akimba, is you know, anytime we speak up about racism here, especially in the United States, white hegemony, they say, oh, that's reverse racism, right?
Yeah.
Like I've seen, I kid you not, I've seen South African Twitter. I don't even like to call them South Africans. The colonizers in South Africa pretty much saying that this is reverse apartheid.
Oh my goodness.
They're so
Absolutely.
pathetic. They are so pathetic.
Yes,
You have
they
to
are.
wonder about an entire group of people that has honestly had nothing to contribute to society. These are people who have never made anything, discovered anything, done anything. Everything that they take credit for is the work of someone else. It's stolen from someone else. I think about the fact that they have continually called Black people savages. Any type of Black person, whether it is an African, whether it is an indigenous American, they have called us savages. But these are the same people who didn't even bathe.
That's right.
I'm talking about didn't put soap and water to your body.
Some of them still don't.
Exactly. Ate with their hands. You know, think about Henry VIII and in all of his so-called European glory. This is a person who didn't use a fork and a knife to eat. This is a person who slept with a bunch of women and ain't none of them taking baths, right? These are people who have constantly spread disease. When we look at wars that were fought when the colonizers came in every instance, disease played a huge part in the victory for the colonizers because literally the indigenous peoples were not used to that.
Yeah.
And they died.
Over 90% of the indigenous population. 90%. That is crazy. 90%.
Like seriously. Even when you look at where I am in the state of Georgia, and there's land down near Sapelo Island, that area where when the colonizers went there, they tried to overcome the people, but they couldn't. They died from their own dysentery because they didn't even have enough sense to dig holes deep enough to defecate in as they were trying to overtake a people. And these are the type of people that we're dealing with. They're no different today.
Yeah. And that's the world order. That's the thing we have to understand too. Like the way societies looked at as a whole, like when you think about the beginning of civilization, they make you think about Rome and Greece.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
When truth is, they stole everything from ancient Egypt and, you know, from Africa, from Black African people. You know what I mean? Like you said, everything from hygiene to school to anything you can think of when you think about civilization, right? And so it goes to what you were saying too, Rakeem. Like when you say that Musk said, you know, everyone was a slave at some point.
Check his name out, Musk.
Yeah, Musk. That's just Musk, man. He said everyone was a slave at some point. You know what I mean? And that's a dangerous thing to say. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's first of all, it's not like that. It's a lie. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was stripped from their humanity like African people.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody was vilified. Nobody learned to hate their own selves like African people. You know what I'm saying? That's why the only ideology that's a worldwide ideology is anti-Blackness. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't exist for anybody else as far as a world ideology. Everybody on the same page. Wherever you go, in every corner of the globe, you see African people at the bottom. You know what I'm saying?
People that travel a lot often ask that question. Hey man, what is it like for Black people over there? Right? What other community has to even ask that? You know what I'm saying?
That's real. And even where you see other oppressed communities, you still see Africans below those oppressed communities. You know what I'm saying? And even in the motherland, where most of people are Black, most of the people are African, the few white folks or other ethnicities or races that are there, they'll still be doing better than Africans in their own homeland. Right. You know what I'm saying? This is where we at, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is where we at globally.
So the world order gotta change, man.
It has to.
Groups of people can come into black countries or black communities and just prosper while the people who are there are living in poverty, but being impoverished because that's what's happening. You know, being impoverished, man. It's this relationship that we have under the system, but it's a state of consciousness, man. At the end of the day, like all we have to do is change our state of consciousness. Of course, it's going to take action, but you know, we have to direct that action in a way that's going to empower us.
I see it changing. I see a lot of people probably about to become more radicalized during this Trump administration. A lot of the just crazy things that are happening with government and Elon Musk and Doge. It's hard for anyone paying attention not to see any red flags, right? And you know, I've watched a few videos and read articles on people who study like the falls of great civilizations like Rome and Greece and ancient Kemet and things of that nature. And a lot of times, from what they said, right, there are different signs and different tales. And you know, these were European scholars that were even saying this. But you know, just to give an analogy, they said if the lifespan of a kingdom is like is 9 innings, America is in the 8th at the moment. You know what I'm saying? And so you know, we just got to keep teaching. We got to keep organizing, being part of organizations, you know, just being in community with our folks any way we can. You know what I'm saying? And letting our brothers and sisters know on the continent that we riding with them, and anything that we can do. You know what I'm saying? We down.
Right. That's the key. That's it right there. I think we're gonna go to a Black Power break on that note. You know what I mean?
For sure.
If that's cool with everybody.
No doubt.
Always, man.
Go to a Black Power break, and we'll be right back. Rise up.
Political system like that tells us that we must begin to reevaluate the whole connotation that's been given to politics in this country. See, politics does not mean the Republican and Democratic Party. Politics does not mean city and state government. Politics goes into something much further beyond that. Politics goes into what happens to your life every day. You see, it's a political decision that most black people in Harlem are junkies. That's a political decision. It's a political decision that black people were forced to be athletes. That's a political decision. It's a political decision that black people cannot occupy offices, high offices in this country as they are called. That's a political decision. But note here, not that, you know, that would make any difference in terms of the whole thing of black people occupying offices. Because when you begin to understand the type of system that operates in this country, then you understand that it's not the individual who manipulates the system. It's the system who manipulates that individual. See, if Cleaver or Dick Gregory had become president in this country, it would make absolutely no difference, because America would still be in the war in Vietnam, because the country operates off what's known as the military-industrial complex, which says that war is profitable, which says that USS Steel must make steel for tanks, because over 70% of the people employed in this country are either directly or indirectly employed by the military. That's the politics of the economy of this country. When oppressed people began to evaluate politics, we must understand that we have to create a politics that's relevant to us. We must create a politics that's relevant to our lifestyle. We must create a politics that's relevant to what we do every day. So when we talk about politics, when we talk about the political reality of the black community, we are talking about something that's beyond Democratic and Republican Party. And in that sense, we must understand that we must incorporate a revolutionary ideology that pushes this type of political know-how and political knowledge in the black community. I want to talk about that ideology at this point, And it has to be an ideology of revolutionary nationalism. See, this country fosters the idea of competitive individualism. In other words, like he divides people. He divides. He tells you, be an individual, do your own thing. You cannot do your own thing if your own thing is not the right thing. You cannot do your own thing. You have to understand, one of the most counter-revolutionary things that came out last year was the whole slogan of do your own thing. This is what black people have been doing for years. Now, if your own thing does not happen to be the thing that's right for the struggle, then it's incorrect. You can't do your own thing. See, people run around here talking about, I'm going to do my own. Here the junkies standing on the corner nod and say, I let you do your thing, let me do my thing. You have to understand that we must begin to talk about building a nation. We exist as a nation. The reason they kill black people are not because they exist as wealthy or poor individuals. They kill them because they're black. So what you have to understand is that whether we recognize it or not, we constitute a nation. We must begin to employ nationalism in our struggle. Nationalism merely says that, we are talking about usness or we-ness. Black people can no longer talk about I. See, that whole individual thing has to be thrown out. This is, what one thing that college students have to understand, because most of the cats who come down talking about, I got my stuff together, is cats who are coming out of college. You have to understand that, if you're speaking, you have to be speaking for the struggle. You cannot be talking for yourself. Because I know what's going to happen if you get caught out there by yourself. You're going to be looking for everybody else at that point.
Peace, peace, hoodoo. Welcome back to Rise Up International Morning Show. There's two of us left. Don't worry, the comrades had to make a move.
No doubt, man.
We still
That's how
here.
they have us, man. They have us always having to make moves.
You know what I mean? We got to.
Yeah.
Got to be on the move.
Hey, I like when you came back. I don't know what it was, but your microphone, it sound real
Oh, yeah.
crisp. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you do anything differently?
Nah, man. I don't think so.
Okay.
I
All right.
don't think so, man. Maybe it's just the way I spoke. Maybe I need to raise my voice a little bit.
There it is. Yeah, for sure, man. How's everybody doing, man? I hope the chat is doing good. Everybody that's tapped in, whether now or later, hope everybody's doing good, man. Having a revolutionary day, and have Black Power on their mind. Hope you guys enjoyed the discussion today too. I thought it was powerful. We covered a couple of, I think, good stories, man. Brought some information to the folks, something to think about, something to analyze, something we should be aware of too. That's going on around the world.
That's right. Yeah, we appreciate y'all, everybody there tuning in. You know what I'm saying? Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Please let us know. You know what I mean? Let us know what anything that you want us to cover on the next one. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's something you want us to touch on the next Rise Up.
Okay. We taking.
All right. Yeah. You know what I mean? We
taking suggestions.
If the people let us know what they want, you know what I mean? We here for that. You know what I'm saying? This is the Rise Up community, so we gonna listen. You know what I mean?
Hey, I like how you put that "we" in there, man. That goes back to what Comrade Jamil was talking about. Can't be talking about I. So right. You know, you making that work for you. Now you putting some work on my shoulders too now. That's a good one.
Us. Always us, you know what I mean? Always us.
Yeah, we got you. He's speaking French right now.
Oui. Kemba, did you read it?
For sure, man. But you seen that that clip, that screenshot I sent with Musk talking about some no talk about Trump. What do you say? No.
I missed that, man. I didn't see that.
You missed that? So yeah, I saw that. I don't know how true it is, because in this day and age, you know, folks.
There's a lot of fake news out there.
A lot of fake news, but it looks real though. It's like Twitter is on X, and it's an Elon Musk post, and he says anyone protesting the Trump administration will be suspended from X. All anti-Trump drama can go to a liberal echo chamber like Thread, Reddit, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Facebook. So what you trying to create an echo chamber then?
Right. Like,
I don't even know if these people be thinking before they speak or post or whatever.
Hey man, I don't even know, man. I'm seeing so much, you know, it's crazy what the social media, you know, they try to regulate a lot, man. I see when some information pops up, they always got, you know, they try to correct it. They'll come through with the ads, man. Everything is you know what I mean? Like you'll have an ad about, like you'll hear someone, I'll be watching a video about something, and then some ad will pop up about, like, you know, saying the opposite of the video that I was watching. You know what I'm saying? Some commercial or whatever. Like, you know, they be on their shit with their propaganda, man.
Yeah.
And you know, the way the algorithm works is crazy.
Yeah.
The way the algorithm.
You know, that's why when folks talk about, especially like this country, and they used to always talk about China and how China regulates its media and so forth. And I'm just like, you guys do the same thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do the same thing. And it becomes more and more, especially it depends on what's happening too, like the context, man. During wartime, forget about it. It's going to be completely different. We always seem like we always have war too. But but all of that talk about the free flow of information and media, you know, thank God for the internet, because it makes it a lot more difficult to regulate that. But they still are able to do it through like the algorithms and just the way that they program.
Yeah, exactly. They control through the algorithms, man. And then even though in the internet we got a wide range of information, it makes it tough for people. It makes it tough for a lot of people to understand what information is real and what's just bullshit and what's propaganda from the enemy. You know what I'm saying? Because there's too much information out there. You know, people are coming in saying all types of wild shit, you know, that's not backed up by any type of facts or whatever. And people are believing it. People are believing it, man. People are coming through with crazy articles like, "Oh, look, this says this, and I read this," and So it's crazy. It's too much misinformation
And if you don't have the patience or even know how to do the research to find out for yourself, you're definitely going to fall victim. Some people actually, they take the information on face value. They see something written, it's in print, they believe it. And that's, you know, that's not how it works. I will encourage, and I'm sure we have a lot of informed, you know, our viewers are informed and they understand this, right? But I would hope that one day we are reaching a broader audience. Even like what we're recording right now, I mean, there could be a point, because, you know, as long as YouTube, this platform is in existence, I mean, somewhere down the line, we might have a million or so views on this episode we're doing today.
Right.
That is not impossible, right? So with that being said, as folks are tapping in, the things that we're saying that may seem like common sense among our circle, those new viewers and people who are tapping in, hopefully this you know, will help them out, because you got to do that research. I remember I was going back and forth with a brother who I knew him for a while. I haven't spoken to him in a while. I guess maybe he found out that he wasn't able to convert me to the whole like Black Indian, like the you know,
we're not really
we're not
Africans.
Africans, yeah.
We're not really
We're not
Africans.
Africans, yeah. Like
America
dude,
is our homeland.
he telling me to do my research. Like you should look deeper into it. He was doing it smooth too. I didn't even realize what was happening to me because I didn't know about this whole Black Indian movement. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know about like these Aboriginal folks, and no disrespect to anybody that might be tapping in that's from that, you know, that line. But this was my introduction to it. And so he was like, yeah, he's like, if you do your research, you find out some of the things that they were telling us aren't true, and you should do your genealogy. And I ain't even know, like, those are code words right there. Like today, you hear somebody say genealogy, I'm like, oh, no, that's a red flag for me right there. So he was saying like, yeah, you should do your genealogy and all of that. So I was like, all right, I'm listening to him. That's like, that makes sense, right? But then he started sending me these messages. We going like on Facebook, sending me direct messages and just sending me information about Black Indians, like just trying to tell me like, yeah, we were already here and so forth. So everything he was sending me, I'm telling you, he was sending me articles like scientific stuff because he was under the belief too that the oldest remains were found here in the Americas. So like life started in America, and showed me like this archaeologist did this research. So everything he sent me, I started digging. I'm like, not even because I believed it.
Right.
But just to refute it, just to show you like, yo, this is nonsense, man. Let me show you something real quick. Boo. And just started sending them stuff, man.
Part of that camp is also, they believe, the Mahafa never happened. Like, it's a lie, the boats, you can't, where the boats at, all of this, man. This is, what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, that this whole thing is based on anti-Africanness. Again, you know what I'm saying? Us not wanting to be ourselves. Malcolm let us know who taught you to hate yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be anything but yourself, looking for whatever you can make up, you know what I'm saying? It's real.
And there's been an anti-African movement, particularly, around the world, but in the Americas during the antebellum period, you would see an anti-African movement take place, like in the 1800s. That's the antebellum period, early before the Civil War, right? And you would have, particularly because the American Colonization Society, there was like these racist white folks who was trying to force Africans or push Africans in America to go back to Africa. And so there began to be like a movement to distance themselves, Africans distancing themselves from Africa because they wanted to stay here. They didn't want anything to do with that sort of movement to send Black people back to Africa. But these were some racist, white folks that was doing that. So, I get that. But prior to like Black people beginning to identify themselves as colored, Black folks was identifying as African, man. They were saying the Free African Society,
they knew,
the Free African Union Society, the African Free School, like all of our institutions was being the African Methodist Episcopal Church.
Everybody knew what time it was.
Everybody knew what time it was, man.
Yeah. And at some point, you know how it is. We got movements get caught up. There's a lot of the depoliticization of the people. There's a lot, people trying to assimilate, forgetting who they truly are, and where they're from. And it's all part of their plan. You know what I'm saying? It's all part of their plan, to the point where we start dividing, making little smaller sects. No, I'm not from there. I'm from here, and I'm from this part, and I'm from, And the more we split up and separate, in little crews, we start set tripping. And the less, the less we work towards our liberation.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man.
That's real.
We gonna hit this last story, or we?
Yeah, man. Let's. I think the people do the people want one more story this morning? I think the people do, man. What we got?
Yeah.
You want to pull it up?
No doubt.
See what we got here.
Pull it up. Yeah, so we going to the Americas.
The Americas. All right.
It's funny because Trump was talking about this, and I'm not going to front, man. Trump, he's not just talking. Like when he talked about sending the criminals in America outside of the United States to serve their time, like basically building relationships, having a foreign policy with other countries about taking the criminals here in the Americas. I was like, yeah, I felt like, okay, he wasn't just talking, but at the same time, I was thinking that this may be something like down the line. There's going to be just sit down discussions being had about it, and it might not gain no traction for like a year or two. But I mean, you already had countries stepping up to the plate,
right?
Send us your prisoners, and El Salvador being one of those. I couldn't imagine doing time in I can imagine those jails are brutal over there, bro. But El Salvador offers to jail U.S. convicts an unprecedented proposal, and we're not talking about just those citizens of El Salvador that might have migrated to the United States. With Trump is talking about all prisoners. He's talking about all people, criminals, people who commit a crime and are being sent to jail, could potentially be housed outside of the United States because of how much money it's costing the taxpayer. I mean, that's just Trump he's being a real businessman. Cost benefit. We talked about this earlier, man. So I'll go through a little of this. President Bukele's proposal includes imprisoning U.S. criminals in El Salvador's largest prison for a fee. It's all about the dollars. El Salvador's president has proposed jailing convicts from the United States and his country, an unprecedented and offer praised by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Damn, crazy! You see how these fools we pray.
Marco Rubio is he's on Trump's level, man. Is that?
Yeah.
I don't know if he might be worse. I don't know. He's on that level.
Yeah. Nayib Bukele made the offer while hosting Rubio at his Lake Cotepeque residence outside San Salvador on Monday. See, these guys having coffee together. Man, I can't trust a person. Yeah, man. Bukele said El Salvador is ready to imprison the convicted Americans for payment in a prison he opened a year ago that is the largest in Latin America. But this is, I'm sorry, just to stop here. We can just build on this, man, because that's we don't really got to go deep into this. I'm just want to, discuss the possible impact that this would have, because that could open the door for other countries to do the same. If this could be a way of these underdeveloped nations to bring in some U.S. dollars. Yeah, and if you think about what it costs to house a prisoner in the United States, if they was to even cut that in half, which I'm pretty sure would be, they probably would take less than half. But this just
international business, man, with the lives of people, man, real people.
And so what would that, I'm just thinking about the implications of that. You can see, because for one, when you have the prison industrial complex, you tend to, and if you're making money from it, you tend to want to keep that business going. So I remember years ago I had a conversation with someone, and I was saying, man, if you was to get rid of all of the offenses that could, like, if you was to solve the problem of crime in regards to all of the offenses that people commit that could give them jail time, if everyone was to stop doing those crimes, the state would make other things criminal, like they would criminalize other acts and behaviors.
Of course, no, there's no way they're not having. This is one of their biggest business, man. That's how they make so much money.
Hey, 60 days for jaywalking. I know that seems extreme, but no, like they would.
No, they just do what they do. What they do now is that they create scenarios for there to be crime. They make people be in need of things, and
right.
You know what I'm saying? So that there's going to be some type of crime that they can,
right.
That's what they do, man.
And I think that they have, come to a conscious, or made a conscious decision to continue to sustain the system in a way where it's still, like, they know that it is going to the effect of the system is going to bring about certain behaviors that is going to lead to what they have deemed criminal behavior, but they accept it because of the money that's being made. Again, going back to cost benefit analysis, they look at it, hey, we're making a lot of money, and it may cost them more. Like, again, going with this analysis, it may cost them more to solve these problems. The things that's leading to crime. So they rather, hey, deal with it. All right, we're going to have a certain amount of people that's going to commit crimes, these type of crimes, and be incarcerated. But it costs us more to prevent those things than it is to just like let things play out the way that it is playing out. And so that's the type of system that we are a part of, that we live in. And it is the international system. And any of those countries, I think I mentioned Europe early, any country that doesn't take that type of approach with its population is because they already benefit from the international systems. They may take that approach internally, but when it comes to their foreign policy and the way that they deal with other countries, they take that same cost-benefit analysis approach that the United States take. The United States just does it internally and externally, and I think that may be, the difference between some of these other colonizing countries.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And I'm seeing, like, Marco Rubio at the head of that operation there, and Marco Rubio has been heavily working against Cuba for years. So I'm very familiar, with that conquistador. And they're saying, well, they're also talking about, sending people to Guantanamo. You know what I'm saying?
I've heard you talking about that before.
Yeah. They're talking about sending people to Guantanamo in Cuba, prison people over there. And I read Trump saying, like, the worst of them, the worst of criminals will go to Guantanamo. You know what I'm saying? And so they're really making this an international thing where they're gonna be, sending.
They're creating another industry, man. Another, right here in the article it says he has offered, president of El Salvador has offered to house in his jails dangerous American criminals in custody in our country, including those with U.S. citizenship and legal residency. No country's ever made an offer of friendship such as this. We are profoundly grateful. Like, get the language. We are profoundly grateful. Like, come on, this is not what's up, y'all. Just stop the nonsense, man.
Psychopathic, man. These guys are psychopathic, man.
Mm-hmm.
Really. It's wild. Anyways, man.
Yeah.
I think that was a good one, man. We appreciate everybody checking us out. Ikemba, man, let the people know what you got going on. As far as also over there on We Charge Colonialism, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, tap in Tuesdays and Sundays. Still doing the Malcolm X study and going to be going on. So this Sunday, we had one yesterday. But this Sunday, tap in. Usually do it around 7 or 8. But make sure, you subscribe to the channel so that you can get those notifications. But we had that going on. Our book study is usually on Saturday. Our book club when We Charge Colonialism. But one of our comrades is in Africa right now. So, we may be on this Saturday, being Natasha, who's on this platform. So we'll see. But we're going to begin with Frantz Fanon's book. Yeah. Yeah. So definitely tap into that. And, on the ground, we got Saturdays at Mega Evans, man, in New York City. We're doing the community organizing workshops. So, we see, like, again, we talked about earlier that they got their Project 2025, but we organizing too to make sure that we put revolutionaries and radicals in position of power. That's what we doing. So, so that's every Saturday. That's going to be going on this Saturday. And in Brooklyn, and of course, like, we got Malcolm X. We Charge Colonialism is doing a Malcolm X event in Philly. But I would say, hey, follow us on Instagram, because I put all of that. Anything that's going on is going to be posted on social media for sure. Yeah,
no doubt. Yeah, appreciate that. And over here, in France, we there's a lot going on as far as the Congo. There's been some mobilizing going on. As far as us, the Pan-African League Umoja, we're also working, on something for Congo as well. Mm-hmm. For Congo, not for the Congo. We're also working on something for Congo as well, without a doubt. As far as tomorrow, I got the new Vada Hoops dropping. If you a hip hop head, definitely tune in for this one. And speaking of hip hop, also check out, Rupturing the Aesthetics here on Black Power Media. Great show we got going on. The comrades are doing it. Amandla is on. We got all these shows over here on Black Power Media Reloaded. Make sure you don't miss any of that. Shout out to all of our co-hosts, man. Shout out to Isaac and the Indigenous Nightmare Network. I was just under with my comrade Vlad. We spoke about Cuba. Vlad just came back from Cuba not too long ago. The war on Cuba. So definitely go check that out as well. And tune in. Make sure you hit that bell for the Rise Up, because we here and we'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place, man. Black Power Media Reloaded.
For sure.
No doubt. You take us out, Ikemba?
No doubt, man. Uhuru. Until next time, yeah.
Sometimes the riot is a quiet one, or the battle is to love yourself and function in society, where voices of reason are muted by anxiety, like gaining notoriety is selling your soul. So we tend to go no deeper than the shallow water level, trying to keep us overhead in the face of all the slurs and the stares, until they frozen, paralyzed by fear of failure and success. So we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and they're babbling, but the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed on my head, spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings that they pull. Then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces winners on the field. Feeble and foolish, what tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution, it's real solutions. What we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution, where my inner me really a mirror for the galaxy. New time, brand new paradigms, new contracts to sign. They thought that this would all be televised, though it's happening right before our very eyes. It's on the inside, with their guns cocked. When that rock drops, standing on the rooftop, praying that the mountaintop can live inside the valley. People tell me the reward is somewhere off in heaven, like heaven's only in the sky, like chariots are swinging, like God is something separate from yourself, from your wealth, from your lover, from your neighbor. Oh, your savior is coming in your own name, coming with the face the same. Real revolution, it's real solutions, where we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution, where my enemy is really a mirror for the galaxy.